Hey guys.
Yo,
So we'll just have this open for the next 5 minutes. Just let some people pour in. Looks like we only got 5 people in the waiting room. Or not in the waiting room, they're here, but give it a couple more minutes.
you go very 70s California glass background there.
Yeah, this is our office. It hasn't been updated since the early 80s, I assume. So, but
Coke
yes,
on the desk vibes.
very. I had to make eggs with no butter or cooking spray today, and I had to use water in the pan. It made it so
Dude, just get
gross.
ceramic. Just get ceramic, dude.
But those
I
stick.
mean,
I do over easy. So it's like I need a flip, and it needs like the little slip so that I can do that with my wrist.
yeah, ceramic slippery. It's the
Um,
same shit. Like, so ceramic coated like wheels makes it so you can just pressure wash the brake dust off your wheels. It's a non-stick. People ceramic coat their cars and all sorts of shit.
well, the water eggs, not good, just so everyone knows.
Water eggs, nice.
Not good. Daniel said he's joining us today. There he is.
Picture.
Hello, guys.
So
Are we live?
yeah, I mean I opened up the room. People are able to hear us.
All right.
So we can start. I was just gonna let more people come in and start officially at 12, but
I agree. Um, anyone who's do we want to do what Jen did?
yeah, so Nick, basically like you have that form check link, right? The Google Drive.
Uh,
I'll send it to you again. But
Wait, I
basically,
think I have it on my phone.
yeah, just airdrop it to your computer. And then I think the best thing that we'll do is basically have, we'll go one at a time through those form checks and you'll just go on screen share and just like share the video so that people can see it while you're sharing.
Noah, can you just screen share them since Nick is a caveman?
That works too.
Valid.
Yeah, that works
I'll
too.
allow it.
It's fair. I only say fair things. Well, hi to everyone who's here right now. I guess my question is if we want to invite people, if they want to be panelists, to join the way
Yeah.
Jen did, so we get to see more faces.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, just so everyone knows, if you would like to be on camera, if you are comfortable with that, please raise your hand and I will be able to promote you to panelists so that your camera can be on. I know not everyone is down, so no worries on that, but I will promote everyone that raises their hand currently to panelists.
So you just have to click raise your hand and then you'll be on camera. I think the way we're going to do this, so everyone is aware, is we'll start out with questions from people who join live on camera. And then we will go to the Google Drive.
Okay.
And also, so everyone is aware, Nick is a very, very hard worker. So he talked before about this, and he's going to once we get the questions out of the way from the people here, he's going to go through and leave none of the form checks people uploaded unanswered. So if you want to drop once we get to that point because your question's been answered, that's fine. Just know that for everyone who submitted and couldn't make it, Nick is going to go through every single video that was submitted. And that will be available in the recording of this that we'll share in the article once we're done.
Great. And I have the form checks on my side ready to go.
Yep, I got them on my phone as well.
All right.
Cool. So nobody
Hey,
wants to be panelist, all good. So I think we are good to start.
I thought we have 13 panelists, it says.
No, I just mean nobody else. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as you guys go, if you want to be on camera, just raise your hand, click the raise hand button, I should say.
Yeah,
and
I can
Noah
do
will
this the
make
whole
you a
time.
panelist.
Yeah, so if you forgot to do it early, it's okay. I'll still be able to promote you.
So let's start out really fast. If anyone wants to raise their hand to ask a question, or if you just want to turn off your mic and ask a question, this can be a little Wild West. Or turn on your mic. Sorry, turn off mute. Anybody?
Peggy has her hand raised, so we'll go with Peggy.
Peggy.
Oh, that's what that means. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so once you're a panelist, when you raise your hand as a panelist, that's who I will select to speak.
All right,
All
let's hear
right,
Peggy
Peggy.
then. Hit me.
Turn off mute and turn on your camera.
Nope, she had it for a second there. I saw it turn off. Right.
Does anybody want to ask a question while Peggy figures that out?
James.
All right, James is up.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, everybody. I had a question about neutral grip versus kind of regular grip bench, right? Yeah, so I've read that neutral grip is a little easier on the delts, a little easier on the shoulders,
I'm gonna stop you there. Do you plan on powerlifting?
No.
Okay, so go some sort of neutral grip, simply because what you read is true. It allows you think about how you walk, right? Let's just oversimplify this. If you were to walk down the street and your arm swing, are you walking like this? No, right?
No.
Because of the natural semi-supination. So this is how I learned it. You have supination, like you're holding a bowl of soup, right? Make your hand a bowl of soup, semi-supination, pronation. So when I say those terms, it'll just be clear, right? So when we walk, our natural gait is in a semi-supinated stance. So if you put that into a bench press, our lats are packed, our shoulder blades in our back pocket, our chest is proud, our shoulders, the goal behind our shoulders is to stack them on top of our lats. So we don't have a bunch of this going on during the bench press. That's where a lot of people encounter those shoulders issues because they're spread out, they're flat on the bench, right? So with that neutral grip, it allows you to keep a much tighter position, right? And keep our elbows tracking in. I'm flaring out because I don't fit inside the rocking chair. We're tracking in a much more natural position and a tighter position. So instead of it, a lot of people essentially, they go so wide, they're spread out and they haven't figured out that stacking their lat cue yet. So there is nothing wrong if that is the most pain-free, the easiest way that it makes sense in your brain. Just keep that form across your entire program. So when you track progress, it's all consistent.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I really enjoyed the video you guys posted. I think, Nick, you were the one that commented on it, the bench press video, right? Like alignment and all that fun stuff. That was super, super helpful. And I have a bar at home that allows me to do that neutral grip, which I've been leaning on more, and I try to keep track of it in the notes section of the app, so I know when I do it, when I don't. But that's super helpful. I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Good question, man.
All right, Ray, you're up next.
Hi guys. My question is my biggest struggle, which I've done some form checks for it before, and that's what my form check is for later, is with the front squat. And a big part of it is the flexibility in my shoulders. I'm trying to get my fingers where I can use the finger grip under. And in the form check videos I sent, one of them has me using straps instead. And I guess part of what my problem is when I'm doing the squat and I'm going deeper than I used to, which is great. But the weight seems to want to roll off my fingers. I don't know if I'm not supporting it on my chest well enough or how that is supposed to sit. Maybe I'm holding it wrong, not just, and when I use just my fingertips, I have a hard time getting my elbows up. And I know getting elbows up is a big deal. Using the straps helps me do that, but I want to try to get away from the straps. Is that just a possibility, or is it a project of flexibility, or what?
It's going to take time. I'm watching your video as we speak. And you do have a little bit of a forward travel when you descend. So it's going to make you want to dump forward. That is making it a little bit more difficult. But you're relatively new to the fingers, right?
Yes.
So it's going to take time. It's going to take, at the beginning, embracing the suck a little bit. But it will be something that you become more and more and more comfortable with. And you do want it kind of behind that front delt. It's going to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
Like you're going to feel it right up against your neck. You don't want it choking you out, because I've done that and actually passed out. But it's going to be it's never going to be like, oh, that feels good. You're just going to feel like, oh, I manhandled the bar on that rep. Like that's what's going to click. So, again, you're new to it. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to take time, and that is completely normal, completely okay. Some things you can do to expedite that mobility process is a couple things. So when I have like my next contest, not the most immediate one, we have a max axle clean and press. So when I'm not doing axle clean and press, I don't do a lot of front rack position. Right now it's log, so it's neutral grip. So in my front squats, I'm using the strap method to keep me used to being in that neutral grip position. Whereas a log, or an axle, I need that wrist mobility for the push press, because it's a different implement. It's not a neutral grip. So to get back into that, things I implement in my warm up are 3 mobility sizes. And I chose these 3 because they just are what work for me. You may find others that work better for you, tomato, right? So I start with a tricep stretching exercise. I put a band at waist height. I turn around so it's behind me, and I twist it around my hand so it locks my wrist, and I drive up and step forward. So it pulls me back. So I get a nice big stretch all in here. From that, I simply take the bar that I'm front squatting with, and I put my fingertips on it and I push into it. So it peels me back. So that gets me ready for the most intense one out of the 3. I sit on the floor, like on my knees, right? Like with my heels touching my butt, and I rotate my palms away from me and push them down onto the floor. And then I sit back, and you're going to get a gnarly stretch all the way through here.
Oh, yes.
It's super intense.
Painful.
Like you don't have to sit back far. Like you'll sit back a little bit if you've never done it before, and you're gonna be like, whoa. So those are things I use to get me back into that ability to get a nice deep front rack, because axle, I can't, on a clean and press, I can't afford to do 2 fingers because I've got to press it. So after the continental clean, I've got to get it into position where I'm ready to press. So I've got to have it like where we get calluses. That's where it needs to sit. So I need a little bit more mobility versus the 2 fingers on a front squat. So it's just going to take time, reps, stretching to get that mobility a little bit faster, to get you used to it faster. But it's all right, man. It's a new thing. It's going to be rocky. Let it be rocky. Know that's part of the process. Do your homework, i.e. those stretches, and keep recording your form and checking. So just like a progress picture, you can look at it 4 weeks from now and compare from when you first started it and go, oh shit, this looks way better. because odds are that's what's going to happen.
Good. Yeah, I think part of it, I got used to doing the cross arm, so the weight sat lower on my chest, and that's where I got used to having it. So, yeah, getting it up higher, I didn't think of that. I'll work on that. And also, just for the idea of trying to build it up, my lighter sets, my first sets, I do try to go with the finger method just to get that, to add that flexibility. Once I get a little bit heavier, I don't want that finger hold to be my limiting factor. So I do switch to the straps for the heavier weights for now,
Good.
but I'm hoping that progresses up as I go. So thank you.
And to test where the bar should be when it's empty, I want you to unrack the bar. I call them zombie front squats. They're, in my opinion, the hardest variation of a barbell front squat, where your arms are locked out straight in front of you and the bar is behind your delts, and do a front squat there. That's how you'll know
Oh, wow.
if it's in the right position behind your delts. Because if it's not, it'll roll
Okay.
down your arms.
Okay. I'll try that. I'll try to get that one on video too. See how it goes.
There you go.
And I'll just add to what Nick said. Like, until the Arnold Classic, I hated doing front squats, and I only did them with the crossed arm method.
Mhm.
And after Nick's talk there, I decided I'm just going to embrace the suck and do it. So to Nick's point, anything new to you is going to be wildly uncomfortable. And the only way to make it more comfortable is doing it. And because now
True.
I'm front squatting more than my old back squat PR when I made the 1,000-pound club the first time. But
Wow.
it took having to just embrace, this is uncomfortable and I hate it, but I'm going to do it anyway until it's less uncomfortable. And
Makes
that's going
sense.
to be anything that's new to you. And that goes for everyone.
All right. Oh, hold on.
Thanks,
What
Ray.
happened? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, John, you're up next.
Yeah, and you kind of answered already. I was going to ask, what do you guys do from a stretching? Do you incorporate stretching into your warm-ups, or do you just do the, kind of the full stretch in the exercise that we've talked about in some of the
So
articles?
this is a subjective question, just so you know. It's going to vary person to person, right? So I have a routine that I do no matter what all the time, that I know my body needs, to get my glutes firing, get my hamstring stretched out. And so, but there are some intricacies that vary between an upper day and a lower day, right? So my upper back will get more attention on warming up for overhead press. My glutes and hamstrings will get more tension on warming up for deadlifts and squats and things like that. So, but I do have staples that are in there every single time. So I guess I have a question for you is, what do you feel like you're restricted with the most when it comes to your movements?
Shoulders,
Okay.
probably the worst. And then it's just that, I still feel it like the day after the leg days, like in my glutes and hamstrings.
I'm 2 days post a leg day and I'm still crunchy. So like
Okay.
that's a little bit of that is gonna just comes with the territory of doing this. So accept those terms to that degree. When it comes to shoulders, is it like an issue with getting your arms overhead? Is it in a back squat position? What do you mean when you say your shoulders?
Any of the bench exercises, barbell, dumbbell, incline, flat. It's just try to do flies. I feel it like right here, and I just don't get as far with my right as I do my left.
Okay,
And
so there's some sort of impingement. Do you have an injury?
I don't think so.
In the past.
I had a frayed labrum in my right shoulder 15 years ago. Went to physical therapy, and eventually it got better.
So odds are, I tore my labrum in the military 10 years ago. I still to this day have more mobility in my right shoulder, partially because of that built up scar tissue, because we did physical therapy, we did not for surgery, and partially because I do circus dumbbell with this arm. So my rack position stretched out my pec. So actually have a longer pec, which allows me to be more mobile on my right side. So that's something to take into account. Yes, it was 15 years ago, but I'm willing to bet you probably have some scar tissue, which can mean some mobility restriction. The only way to confirm that is imagery, consult the PT. But what you can do preemptively is pre and post workout, and even say on a rest day, right? I still do all my movements and my plyometrics, my dynamic stretches, my static stretches. I still do them on my rest days. That is what you'd call active recovery, right? Not doing anything isn't necessarily always the best recovery option. So stretching, just like weight training, requires constant attention. If you don't use it, you lose it. So doing some of those, I would say start out with two, say, if you do you have like 2.5 pound plates, super light weights?
Yeah.
So start doing some Cuban presses. You start down by your sides, come up, rotate up, press, little things like that to get it moving, get it woken up, get it warmed up, then go into that stretch of literally leaning up against the wall, facing the wall, and just turning into it and seeing how far you can get it and hold it for 10 seconds, right? You don't want to do it to the point of, it's an intense pain, but you want to let that stretch happen and get comfortable breathing through the stretch. So, another option you can do, and this is what I lean heavily on when it comes to PTs. My sports PT is constantly assessing me on a weekly basis, seeing where I'm restricted. And that is the best approach, hands-on. Because honestly, that's what I do is I take you through a movement assessment and see what kind of range of motion we're working with. And that would dictate what I feed you as far as movements go.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Of course.
I'll also just add two things. One, my last shoulder dislocation, part of my PT, along with all the normal finger walks up the wall and the external rotation stuff, was inverted rows. So when I'm doing the warm-ups, and almost every warm-up beyond starting from scratch in the pump has inverted rows, I really focus on the full stretch and flex there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing I'll add, because it's the stretching thing is one of the most common questions we get in the app, is stretching is stretch if you want to, find a routine, do yoga if you want to on off days. But we do share a lot of studies that are showing more and more that resistance training at full range of motion creates as good or better mobility and flexibility compared to stretching, which is why we don't have stretching routines after the workout. And if you look at Arnold, who's been doing full range of motion his whole life, touching his toes easily at 78 years old, he's pretty good evidence beyond the studies that it works. So if you really focus on a full range, then you stretch if you want when you're finished.
Yeah, I can tell you, as someone who requires some sort of level of attention, I have to stretch so I don't hurt myself within my full ranges of motion. So I have that elasticity because of the nature of my sport. It can be very violently explosive. I need that mobility within my range of motion, so I'm confident that I'm not, tearing a hamstring picking up a log or things of that nature, because my body will get extremely tight within my ranges of motion and contract, and then I can't put my socks on without looking like an idiot. So that's why goals are very important. That's why I asked if that first person was going to do powerlifting, because that goal heavily changed how I answered that question.
Who's got a question?
Up
Like
top, I think was
Lulian?
first.
Lulian? Oh,
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Hey guys, thanks so much for doing this. So my question is about effort in sets, and this is something I struggle with a lot. And Coach Nic, you answered this in the app for me, and I just wanted to make sure that I understand. When you're going through and you're doing your program, you don't, I assume, max effort every single set every time and essentially like test yourself to see how many you can get, because eventually you come back and you're like, I'm still too fatigued on the next day and I haven't gotten better. Because that's what I struggle with. Like, you have a great day and you hit like a PR in reps, and then you're like, well, I want to do even more next time. But your body's just like not there yet. So my question is, like, as you program your effort, and you explain it to me like through like your rate of perceived exertion, like you're at a 5 for this and you're an 8 for that, is there a certain timetable that you would say, okay, well, you know, for this many like days in my, I don't know, 6-week, 8-week cycle, I'm going to be at like an 8 out of 10. And this many, I'll be at a 5. And this many workouts, I'll like full effort and near failure or failure. And like, how do you program that within the workouts? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, so it also depends on the program, right? I know since coming on to the team, I had to read some articles and read the things like first set mindset to kind of understand how to answer some of the questions, you know, with the intentions of some of the programs that I didn't personally write, you know what I mean? So because I come from a world where my coach writes the effort of each of the movements. So like, for example, just so you understand where I'm the world that I'm coming from, like I will have written out on my compound lifts where my coach wants, you know, say it's a 5x8 and he's got it listed as an 8 to 10 effort, minimum 8, maximum 10 effort for that 8 rep range. So the weight depends on my effort, right? So whatever I need to be weight wise to fit that rep scheme. Now, most time my assistance is a 9 to 10 effort. So we're pushing the assistance because it's less taxing on your overall nervous system versus going super heavy on those compound lifts. Now, what that means is, say you have a 6, 8, 10 rep scheme, right? The goal isn't to, once you get to that top set, to see how many reps you can do at that weight every single time and add weight, because the prescription is a 6, 8, 10. So it would be more beneficial for you to increase weight gradually over time in each of those rep ranges, right? So sometimes 6, 8, 10 for me, it can be I'm dropping weight each time because I was still max effort within that rep range. But sometimes I need 3 reps in the tank at the end of that rep range. That can be what's prescribed. So the reason why I asked is Catch actually might be able to answer this because he has probably run these programs more than most people. What program are you currently doing?
So currently I'm doing the Rise of the Machines program. So it's all higher reps where the rep range target is 20s. And like for chest and back, it's barbell, bench, body weight pull-ups, machine row, and dumbbell fly. And there's ab assistance for that. For legs, it's barbell squat, back squat, leg extension, leg curl, calves and abs. And then for shoulders and arms, it's machine curl, tricep rope push down,
Right. Yeah.
lateral dumbbell raise, and machine overhead press.
Okay. So those higher rep ranges, you just like any program, the target's going to be increasing the weight within the rep range, right? So you don't want to prioritize going over 20 at the same weight over and over again versus trying to get that 20 with a little more weight each time, because that's simply how progressive overload works, is gradual progression over time in weight, maintaining that rep range prescription. Catch, if you have any input on that, with how familiar you are with a lot of these programs feel free to, double tap.
Yeah. So, one of the reasons, and by the way, when Nic's program comes out, it's going to be advanced only, and it will have RPE. One of the reasons your programs don't is there are actually two main reasons. One, we don't want people to overthink, and we know there's a lot of overthinking. And two, this is no offense to anyone, but we think a lot of people in the app overestimate their rate of perceived exertion. If they didn't, we wouldn't see people hitting 100 and 200 pound PRs when we do meetups, because that doesn't happen. So
No.
if we tell someone we want you at an 8 on the 8 to 10 scale, we worry what they're really going to give us is a 3 or a 4 without realizing. So that's one thing. That's why we have very simple rules for you guys. Hit the rep range with the rule of 3, meaning if you go more than 3 reps over, the weight was too light. If you go more than 3 reps under, the weight was too heavy. And then there's first set mindset. We want the last 2 to 3 reps to be hard, because those are the reps where you grow. You don't grow in the first 6 where you're moving. You grow when you get mechanical tension. So, and then the final rule that's simple to follow is reps go down, weight goes up. So that's how we simplify RPE for all of you, so you don't have to do any thinking. We just want you to land within 3 reps of the rep range. We want you to go heavier when the reps are lower, lighter when the reps are higher, and we want every set to end with hard reps. And if you follow those things, you're going to succeed. That program's brutal also. I know it because I can't tell you how many times that's what Arnold does. And I can't tell you how many times some trainer half his age of one of his co-stars wants to do that program with him. And then they're like, oh, this is light and easy. And then after 3 sets, they're huffing and puffing and sweating all over the place, because that's a work capacity program. There's no rest in that program. So follow Nic's advice. Don't try to beat the reps with the same weight. Increase the weight. And if you hit 17 instead of 20, you're in the clear. You're within the rule of 3. And then once you get to 20, you can increase the weight.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Matt?
Hey, everybody. Matt Koizum coming from the Wilmington, Delaware area. And just wanted to clarify, is this a place where I could do a form check?
Yes.
Awesome. I think I can share my screen, but I see, is that a dog there, Nic?
Yeah, that's my Hank.
Hi, Hank. There we go. That's probably a little bit more important. And hi. Oh, and who's that? And Dan, you've already said something about your dog. What's your dog's name? I forget. You're muted.
Sorry, that's Daisy. I'm multitasking and getting her steps in right now.
There you
I also
go.
used to have a Hank, so
Awesome.
always makes me sad.
I hear that too. We've commiserated. So my preface this with I did talk to a physical therapist about this week, and his reaction was maybe there's some stretching I can do, some static stretching was his advice. There could be a strength and balance between my left and right legs. But ever since I started on the Pump Club app with, of course, the foundation, I did a next level. I've had some just soreness in my knees. Notice it going up and down stairs. If I'm doing a step up, I'm doing a lunge, doing a squat, I will feel it. Nothing that stops me from any other activity. And so I have and I keep doing the exercises anyway. But I am curious if there's something in my mechanics that's contributing to that. That if there's like maybe some lean in my squat, that perhaps I can
do you feel it in a certain point in your range of motion on the concentric, the up, the eccentric, the down? Any point where are you feeling the pain?
I wouldn't clarify. Oh, I meant to. Oh, wow. I wanted to share my screen, but I shared the wrong part of it. On the down, as I bend.
So from top to midway, from midway to bottom, where is it the most?
I would say top to midway.
Patellar tendonitis. I'll bet my paycheck.
Yeah, no, I've asked some therapists and ChatGPT too, and I figured like that's probably what it's going to be.
Yep, I deal with it.
Yeah.
So
It's
tendonitis is fun because it can get worse by doing this stuff, but it also gets better by doing this stuff. There's like a little Goldilocks zone for it. So this is something that I would say almost every seasoned lifter has dealt with at some point, somewhere along the lines. I deal it when I get it from top to midway in my push press, top half of my squat. How I alleviate it is a sequence of events, and specifically, you might want to try this sequence. So I start out by doing leg extensions, and what I do with my leg extensions, and I notice that you're writing, so I'll go slow. So I start simply with a lightweight 2-count tempo up and down, 3 sets of 10.
Okay.
From there, I go with that same set, 3 sets of 10 again, 2-count up, 5-count eccentric on the down. Same lightweight. From there, I go into another 3 by 10 with 3 holds at lockout. 3 sets, 10-second holds at lockout. From there, I do banded TKEs, 3 sets of 20 each side. And it'll be very easy to Google that. It's a very common thing. You put a band around your rack, put it behind your knee, and basically light bend, let your heel rise, then press down as if you're doing like a leg extension. And you're going to get another good quad pump. From there, I do isometrics warming up once I have the bar on my back. So I'll do a 5-second pause right as I first start to descend, 5-second pause halfway down, 5-second pause in the bottom. So I'm getting a lot of blood flow down into my knees, my quads. And another thing that is a staple is, do you know what a couch quad stretch is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do those daily. Even when my knees feel good, preventative maintenance, right? So this is how we avoid it happening again. You know, people start feeling good, and I've been guilty of it, and I start to neglect things, and then, you know, a month down the road it comes back and I'm like, shit, I should have never stopped. So those couch stretches and lengthening that quad, stretching that quad out, getting some of that tension off of just day to day on your knees is going to help exponentially with tendonitis. Tempo is your friend, and isometrics is your friend because it's a light load and gets a really good pump and a lot of blood into there and allows you to work the tendon and unpiss it off with a bunch of weight without all the weight. So I'd start implementing those on a week-to-week basis and stay away from anything that hurts, you know, exponentially. Like if we're talking 7 out of 10 plus, it's painful. Let's just adjust because we don't want to keep pissing it off and negate the work we're trying to do to rehab it. So if you've got to let off the gas pedal on squats and work with a weight that doesn't make it angry, make that weight harder with more tempo. So
Right.
say you're squatting, say 100 pounds feels great and 185 makes it angry. Let's work within the weight range that feels good, but let's say it's calling for a set of 8. Add enough tempo so that set of 8 with 100 pounds is hard for that set of 8. Does that make sense?
That makes tons of sense. Thank you. And I've never heard unpiss it off before, but I'm going to have to use that as something.
Me either. That just kind of came on the fly.
All right. We'll submit it to Webster's for the year or something.
Let's party.
Yeah. No, thank you very much. It's not painful, but I do appreciate the exercises a lot more to consider than what I got out of PT this week.
And I'm looking at your squat video as we speak.
I can yeah, I can throw that up for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you share it so everyone can kind of benefit?
I believe I can. And I'll try to do it so that you don't see the close up of things. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Nick's used to the close-ups with me.
Yeah, well,
Very.
I thought I was actually getting deeper here, but I guess it was after
You
a squat
turned with
run.
the bar instead of moving the camera. That's awesome.
Well, I was thinking about like when you were telling do the zombie squats, I'm like, you're probably not holding the phone with that too. But maybe you could. This one I almost lost it on this turn. I was like, ooh, that had a little momentum there.
So you're a little high. You're about an inch or two high. So we want to get down a little bit deeper, and I want you to think about initiating your squat with breaking at the hips first and then descending. So you're sitting back like you're reaching out into a chair. And I also
When you said high, do you mean depth high or where the bar's placed?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
your depth line is your knee to your hips, right?
Yeah.
So we want to get below. So say this is my hips, this is my knees, this would be parallel. That hip crease breaks the knee crease, essentially, rule of thumb. Your squat from every direction looks fairly sound. It's just going to be application. And I would say it may even be worth bringing your feet in about an inch or two widthwise. Yeah. And that might help you get a little bit more quad out of the movement than, because the wider you go, the more you recruit glute and hamstring. So come in and when I tell you adjust your feet, don't ever do big adjustments. Start with an inch and do a set, see how that feels. Come in another inch, do a set, see how that feels. And record all that and see what just looks more sound, feels more sound, especially with your knees being spicy. Let your body talk to you and listen to it.
Thanks. One good thing about turning with the bars, I couldn't think about where my feet were. Yeah. Thank you so much. More than I ever could have reasonably asked for.
Big dog.
How's it going, everybody?
What's going on?
So my question is, when I do Romanian deadlifts with my dumbbells, we're supposed to feel it in our hams and bring it back up, but I rarely feel it in my hams.
Okay.
And then I feel like I overdo it, and then I feel bad afterwards.
Where do you feel it?
In my lower back.
Not uncommon. So simple adjustment, right? So I call it broomstick posture, like someone shoved a broomstick up your prison wallet, right? So, and you're nice and erect. So what I want you to do is don't think about bending over, right? Don't think about doing this. Think about doing this. So pushing your butt out past your heels and your upper body staying locked in. So big brace, and then a hinge, and your butt pushes back.
Okay.
So as you push back, you initiate the up, not with bending up. Think about initiate the up with your glutes squeezing together and pushing through. Do you have a video?
I don't, but I do have my weights here on the iron porch.
Grab them. Let's party. Come on. Show me something.
I mean, let me adjust, get my handy dandy brick.
Real-time coaching. This is my shit.
While Mason gets set up, I'll also say like two things that I see a lot at our meetups is one, the first time we tell people when they're setting up for any deadlift to pretend they're pushing a door closed with their butt tends to be the first
I like
time
that.
they ever really feel their hamstrings engage. So remember that cue on RDLs and any deadlift. A hinge is kind of hard for you to think of, but if you imagine you're walking backwards to a door and pushing it closed, you're going to get those hamstrings engaged. The other thing I've seen the most common is Adam telling people that they're going too far down with their RDLs. You don't need to touch the ground. That's not the goal. You're getting the hamstrings engaged. You're probably going to mid shin. And then
When your
coming
back starts to
back
break
up.
posture, that's the end of your ROM.
You're done. Yeah.
All right. So here we go.
Did you feel that a little bit more?
A tiny bit, but like
Keep your legs just a little bit straighter.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Sure.
So you feel it more in the hamstring now than you did before?
Well, I feel it kind of in these amazing calves. And
well, if you're feeling it in your calves, that means it's going through your hamstrings.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you fatigue out and you get higher in weight and reps, that means you're probably going to feel it more in your hamstrings. Now you're fresh. You were just sitting. So what it's doing now is you're feeling that stretch, and that stretch input is surfacing in your calf to feel it in your calf. So from the back of your head to your heels, that's your posterior chain. It's called a chain because it's all connected. So for it to be surfacing in your calf means it has to be doing what?
Pulling on my hamstring.
Bingo. So that's a good sign, right? So I want you to exaggerate it even more. I want you to reach even further behind you with your butt.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Bingo. That's how you're doing your RDLs.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good question. I think, is that Dippian I see up top that was next?
Or Joe.
Yep. Yep. Hi.
We'll get to Dippian and Joe.
Yep. Thanks so much. It's just 1 a.m. at night out here, but it's great to hear you guys. I just had a question on my T-bar row and the donkey calf raises. Do you want me to share
Okay.
or?
Yeah, share. I pulled it up for myself here, but absolutely share. I like your setup, making it work.
There's a problem of hold on. Yeah. No. This is some problem that I'm not being able to share this. Let me try again. Yeah. Yep.
There we go. You're getting a lot of leg drive, that's for sure. So that's
I
not
am, isn't it?
necessarily a bad thing. So there's different types of row variations. Then like you have Penley rows, which have a high leg drive, and a lot of heavy deadlifters do that to just keep building that big upper back alongside of that leg drive. Like I've done them, and when I tell you heavy Penley rows, we're doing them with like 400 plus, right, on a deadlift bar. So, but that's the function. I needed to carry over to my deadlift, right? So this, if your function is to really isolate the back, drop the weight, and make them perfect with less leg drive, get in a comfortable position. You don't need, rigid legs. but get in a position that you can support it. And you see how when you're rowing, you're almost curling your upper body to hit your belly button. We want to keep your chest proud. Think of setting up your upper body as if you were getting underneath a bench press, right? And keeping everything tight and keeping that chest proud and pushing your belly button out and keeping there in that same fixed position every single time. Again, if you're looking for that maximal strength, I know last time you were on here, you were really focused on your deadlift. I don't have a problem with you doing your rows this way because you're going to get more weight. You're going to get a little bit more carryover to your deadlift in that. But if you're going to do the T-bar row, it would almost be to cater to deadlift function more. It would almost be more applicable to just do it on a barbell. And I'm not using this as a blanket for everybody. Dippian last time was very focused on progressing his deadlift. So this is a personalized coaching tip for Dippian. So I don't want people to take this and run with this into the forest. Doing it just on a barbell and using that same leg drive and actually turning into more of a pen lay row to build that upper back strength you're going to need for that heavier deadlift. So food for thought. Otherwise, it looks good. I like your brace. You look sound. But for just a strict T-bar row, you have a little bit too much leg drive. So drop the weight and get a little bit more of your upper back doing the load off of the ground.
Right. And the range is okay because I generally try to go down more so that I get the full stretch and
You've
then
got great range of motion. Yes.
Okay. Right. So I'll reduce the weight and reduce the leg drive then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Another one was the
donkey calf raises.
Yeah. I'll let me try to pull that up. Hold on.
An Arnold favorite.
I've actually never done them.
The strangest exercise to do in a public gym.
I've seen them done somehow, but I've never. I understand the purpose but it's something I've never actually implemented. I don't think I've ever seen a strongman do them.
I've actually seen Arnold do it still in his 70s in a public gym and have someone get on his back.
I feel like it's very much a bodybuilder thing. I've never seen a power lifter or a strongman do it. And you knew CrossFitters ain't.
1 second.
If I'm not mistaken, you were doing them with a belt.
I am doing it with the belt because I don't have anybody to sit on me. So
I love how you make shit work, dude. Between your T-bar row and this, like, I think that's the biggest takeaway from everyone watching is that this dude figures out how to just make shit work. So with a calf raise, what I tell people is two things. One, we use our calves all the time, day in, day out, constant use. So to really get anything from direct calf work, we need overloading. And you overload them in two ways, either a shitload of reps or a shitload of weight, right? So when it comes to these donkey raises or any calf raise for that matter, I want you to focus more on the time under tension for the rep range. So how many reps were in that set? What was the target rep range?
This was 25, and I was doing it with 2 25-kilo plates, so that's 50 kilos.
So how hard was that by the last rep?
First set goes to 25, second set around 21 to 22. The third goes barely to 18.
Okay, so slow the reps down a little bit. Like count 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 up. 1,000. Okay. So now we're generating more time under tension. We're making our reps a little more effective, if you will, because calves are just they're of itch because we're always using them, right? So they just need that, in my opinion, they need that overload, whether it comes in form of weight. Like I do have calf raises in the off season, and we do them with an SSB bar, so I can do them with 300 pounds, right? So I'm only doing sets of 10, but I'm getting severe weight because my application's a yoke carry. Now, a yoke carry is the heaviest lift in all the carrying events because we're running with 8, 7, 8, 900 pounds on our back. So that's where my application comes in. It isn't for aesthetic, it's for being able to scurry across the floor with half of a ton on my back. So I need that overload where it's weight focused versus time under tension, whereas an aesthetic, time under tension might be a little bit better of an option for your application.
Right. Got it. So yeah, so basically, yeah, the 1,000 to 1,000 works. That's perfect. I'll do that. Yeah. Otherwise, the the hinging the weight and at the place of the back where it is, that's okay, right? There's no chance of injuring
Are you getting a stretch kind of at the bottom of the reps?
On the hams and calves, yes.
Yeah, fine. Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Joe.
Hi. Hiya. I submitted a video for form check. I was just hoping Nikolai could have a look after the tips he gave me for deadlifting on the last Zoom.
Yeah.
See if it's. I can't screen share. I've got no idea how to.
Noah, can you share it? So everyone can see.
So I'm gonna get right into it because I've been watching it here myself. So the thing that stood out to me immediately outside, everything looks sound and connected. You have a nice steady pull. You're not jerking on the bar. You have great positioning. The only thing is if you look, when you come up each time, you see how the bar swings back and then forward?
Yeah.
What that tells me is that you're very toe heavy. So you're actually pulling up and back to get into your leverage. That's your body trying to make the best line of horsepower, right? So what's happening is you're starting a little bit over more on your front foot and then boop, swings back, swings forward. See how when you're coming down, your bar path is different than when you're coming up? So that's gravity straightening the weight for you.
Okay.
So this one, you get really toe heavy and you had like a backwards drive. So what I want you to do moving forward is I want you to be very conscious that the weight is in your heels in the middle of your foot. And just a subtle little cue is before your first rep, I want you to wiggle your toes.
Okay.
Because if you're toe heavy, you can't wiggle your toes, right? So it's a good little physical feedback, like, okay, I'm my foot pressure is more over the middle of my foot. Like that rep was better. And then you came down in the front there, and then boop, we get a much more exaggerated swing there. So that's your homework moving forward. Wiggle your toes.
I think I need to get new footwear as well because I've got hip trainers on.
Yeah, you have heels on those shoes.
Yes.
So I would just go in socks for this. The other
Just
thing
kick 'em
I'm
off.
noticing, your hands look like they're a little forward on the grips.
Yeah.
And I have that problem sometimes, and I'll get a swing. If I'm dead center, it's going to be easier to pull straight up and down.
Okay, that's really great.
Right, Nick?
Yeah. It does affect. The stronger you get, the less that will affect, simply because your pull is the same direction every single time. But it does affect, like, if you're running no straps, and I always equate it to when we do farmers carries or frame carries. I like to be a slightly behind center, because have you ever carried something heavy with your wrist like this? No. Anytime you carry like a 5-gallon bucket full of water, you either want to be here or slightly here, because your strongest fingers are going to be these two. Like, this
Yeah.
is the meat of your grip, because you got all this meat right here. So we want those 4 fingers loaded more than we want those aft fingers loaded. That's just a little grip trick for you. But yeah, it will, getting your grip alignment right. I mean, if that is your bar, your equipment, some people I've seen put a piece of tape to mark center. They measure it, they mark center. Otherwise, your first pull will tell you, and then you just adjust on the next rep.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. It's really helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
Can Ellis ask a question? He joined
Of
on
course.
my screen.
Hit me.
Yeah, hi guys. I've been doing inverted rows because the pull-ups are hurting my forearms. So, and then I'm going straight on to doing a single arm dumbbell row, 20 reps on 20 kg. So the first set is fine. I can do 20 with good technique. But then in the second set, I start to fatigue, and about 10 or 12 reps, I have to break just for a few seconds, and then I can complete the 20. Is it worth dropping the weight rather than failing at 12 or 10 or 12 reps? Trouble I've tried dropping weight and it's then too easy.
So
yeah, I mean, how big of a weight drop did you do?
I went from 20 to 18 kg. So it
Okay,
wasn't
so
much.
2 kg. I mean, that's like a 5-pound jump. So, no, it wasn't much. So if that's the case, if it's too easy when you drop a rep, that interset rest pause is okay if the effort's still there. You know, you're not losing anything. You're not impeding on the overall goal. You're still getting that rep range, as long as it, is, I would say, keep it sub 10 seconds.
Okay, man.
Yep.
And I'll also say that it sounds like you've discovered first set mindset, because Adam shared the text messages from me in the app when I stopped ego lifting and saving for my last set, and I suddenly had to drop the weights on my second and third set. And that really pissed me off, because I was more fatigued because I was actually hitting the mechanical tension reps. And that changed over time as my work capacity changed and my body got used to training that way.
Okay.
I do have one question for you. When you're doing your pull-ups, are you in that pronation?
At the moment, it's
Neutral.
either. So it's either like a neutral grip or an overhand grip.
What hurts more?
Both. They're both. My bolt was hurting more. No, probably the neutral grip. I've got like a bit of a golfer's elbow going on at the moment, and it just really kills it.
So does it hurt the harder you squeeze?
Potentially, and it hurts
So
more.
what I want you to do is,
Yeah.
it's gonna sound really stupid, but do you have like a 5-gallon bucket?
Well, not at the gym, but I could probably work out a way to do it. At home.
A bucket of some sort of that size. Go get a big 20-pound bag of rice, like a 8 kilo bag of rice. Dump it in that bucket. I want you to take your hand just like this and push it in as far as you can go. And then I want you to try and open it as hard as you can and gradually pull up, so your hand opens and opens more. And do like 3 sets of 10 each side after your workout. So what we're going to do is work those extensors, because we're always working this. And sometimes when I get forearm pain, that's my go-to thing, is work that contrasting movement in the extensors, because we're always clutching and it pisses off those tendons in there. So we need to work those extensors to alleviate some of that pressure. And it's just a counter movement to get, blood flow. I don't know the scientific terms for it. But it works, it helps, and it sounds really, really dumb. But it's something I've used and still use when my forearms and stuff do get sore from, sometimes when I have heavy farmers. I get it on when I have heavy presses with like an axle or barbell. My elbows do get mad. So it's just another proactive recovery thing you can throw in. Takes a few minutes at the end of your workout. And that bucket will last you for a long time.
Just don't eat the rice. Nick, can you show me the move? Can you show me the move again, mate?
Yeah, you're just gonna make like a shadow puppet, like it's talking hand. Yeah. And then you're gonna push it down as far as you can go. And the further down you are, the harder it is gonna be to open up. So you're gonna try and open it at its deepest level. And then when you can't get any further open, you're gonna come up a little bit and gradually try to open. So it's like accommodating resistance. So the resistance gets less and less and less and less and less. And then you're going to go back in and you're going to do it again.
Great, mate. Thanks so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Chris.
Hey guys.
Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm going to bail on you after this one and let Nick just work his way through the videos, and good luck to Noah figuring out who we already handled. But I have to go back to doing FUBAR stuff for a little bit, and want to remind everyone, watch FUBAR season 2 on Netflix. Watch all the way to the end. It's very important to Netflix that completion.
Thanks for doing this, guys.
And it's fun. Go for it.
I've been trying to work on my depth. I just bought this box to use as a cue.
Yeah, you're just about there. You're a little high, but I'm going to take it with a grain of salt because the camera angle's high. So that can play a little trick. So the thing that's standing out to me is when you start to descend right here, you see how far past your knees are going over your toes? And I can see you're definitely rolling in, which means there is likely some knee collapse. So we may want to narrow you up just a little bit, because that could just be your hip position. So wider people, wider hip people that are very, very hamstring dominant and glute dominant tend to go with a wider stance. Judging by the way your knees are falling forward, you are likely, would I be wrong to say if you're quad dominant?
Yeah, quad dominant, definitely.
Yeah, so this is your quads trying to do work right here. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we want to get everything working together, right? So I would say this isn't bad. I can see you bracing outward against that belt, and that is great. We want to sit you back to your heels a little bit more. Maybe try bringing your feet in just an inch. Play with it. Go out an inch, come in an inch. See what allows you to get that depth a little bit easier. Does it feel challenging to get down there?
I've been working to get to this. I started with just using my bench in the background as a cue, and now I'm down to this. This is, I think,
you've got the right idea. You're progressing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are just uncomfortable getting down to the depth. So one thing you might want to try, and I squat with heels elevated. I wear my weightlifter shoes with the Olympic heel on them. Put some 5-pound metal plates under each heel and see if that makes it a little bit easier and opens up your hip. Because what it'll do if we're looking from the side, it allows your pelvis to tilt.
Okay.
So that anterior pelvic tilt with that heel elevation allows you to sit down. So if this is your hips, it allows you to sit down into that squat with a little less restriction. I know when I'm flat, say barefoot, my hips feel tight versus that slight bit of elevation. It feels easier to hit depth just out of movement restriction. So a couple things on there for you to kind of chew on and play with. I love that you're experimenting. I love that you're gradually progressing over time to get that depth. You're doing a lot of the things right, man.
Thank you. And before I forget, thanks for your military service. And
Thank you.
Also, thanks for doing this, guys. I really appreciate it very much. It's over the top. Great stuff.
This is the fun part for me.
All right. Does anybody have a form check that we are going to go over next? Anybody that's in here have form checks? 3 hands raised. I can't see who's raised their hand. John, looks like you got your hand up. Does anybody that we haven't called on yet have their hand up? If not, we will just run with John.
Yeah, I posted mine to the Google Drive. It's the seated dumbbell clean and press.
So I remember your question in the app Q&A, but I didn't know what it looked like before. You've got a gnarly arm pump going on right now, man. Arms look jacked. So is this post me answering your question and implementing that more of that explosive momentum to it, or?
Yeah, I really dropped the weight down to try to get kind of get my shrug into it. But when I do that, it just feels like I'm kind of not getting really any effort on the press part. So is that the intent? Is you got to kind of just balance between the two?
Yeah. So like, the intent is, I mean, if you can't clean it, right, like then we can't do the whole exercise. So anything typically that has a clean and press is typically overall work capacity focused. Because if it was just press focused, you would just be doing the press, right? So this is, this is probably later in that workout on that day, correct?
Yeah, this was after everything else was done, and I just had my son film me.
Your polisher assistance. What program is it?
I do the 4-day foundation upper lower split.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a polisher at the end of the workout, getting a little bit of mix of everything in there when it comes to upper. You do a really good job initiating with the shrugs, and you kind of want them to just roll up. And if you start fatiguing out, on the clean portion, it's okay to kick them back just a little bit and get a little swing out of the hole. That is okay too. If you're like, man, my shoulder's still got gas, but always, I initially had you lowering the weight so you could get the plane of how you're supposed to move and explosively input. So I imagine you'll probably spend a few weeks here at this lighter load, maybe gradually increasing the weight before you progress it a little better, because anything with a clean, there's a certain level of technique mastery, mastering the momentum, the bar path, all that stuff to get it up there where you become efficient that allows you to do the heavier weights. Okay. So cleans progress, I would say, a little bit differently than just static lifting, because there's a certain level of, like I said, technique mastery, whereas you'll notice jump, like, okay, I'm here. So what that was doing is you weren't necessarily getting stronger at the peak, at the most. You were learning the movement, and now we're where strength meets technique. So let the learning curve happen. I love that you were just able to drop weights and move them the way you're moving them here. This is really good. So even if you start at a more neutral, that might be easier. Play with it a little bit to kind of keep that clean in a nice, fluid, explosive rolling motion on up. So you don't ever feel like you're curling.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right. Thanks. Thanks.
All right. We got Big Ray up next. So it looks like we got front squats. So start with the first one.
I think we went over these, didn't we?
Yeah, we're just checking out the video itself. Maybe.
Yeah, he's got some slight forward in his front squat, some as he descends. There's nothing catastrophically wrong going on here. You can just tell it's an uncomfortable movement. But that's just gonna need reps, man. Like you said before.
Yeah, that's the first video that I posted where I'm trying to use the fingers. And you notice I'm wearing shoes, which I don't do anymore. And I don't have plates under my feet, which I do when I normally do them. So the other video would show a little bit. So now I'm using the straps because I can't get that mobility. I think that's just a little lower weight. I was just doing it for a video check, but I'm on the plate with the straps helping me with the positioning.
Do your heels still curl up now without shoes at the bottom?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, we want to get you. That's because you're still migrating forward in your rep.
Mhm.
We want a nice vertical drive. Keep your heels loaded.
Okay. Yeah, I think it works a lot better now that I've started doing those barefoot or socks on. I'm able to kind of get that feel a little bit better. So that's made some improvement. That was actually from about a week and a half ago, I think.
Yeah, in another couple weeks, drop another front squat video and let's see where you're at.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Who is next, squad? Anybody in here besides Ray? Doop. Dan? Dan raised his hand. Is he in here?
Let's
put on the beat.
All right. I mean, forgive me if I'm not seeing that. All right, Craig, I can see your hand. You want to go? Because we're there.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Gotcha, Craig.
Yeah, so you answered a lot of the questions already in the beginning, with the front squat, but I was just questioning the bar placement. It's almost, can feel it almost touching, the Adam's apple, and I wasn't sure if that was normal, but it sounded like that is a normal thing. It's supposed to be kind of up against your throat.
Yeah, you don't want it choking you out, so to the point you're passing out, but you want to feel it there, kind of trapped behind your front delts. Again, what I told Ray, if you want to test your bar positioning with an empty bar by doing zombie squats with your arms straight out. So the bar is sitting in position. I'm a terrible candidate to demonstrate because you can't see anything behind my beard. But testing it with the zombie squats, descending down and up, if that bar starts to roll down your arms, it's not in the rack position where it would normally be with your fingers locking it in. Basically, your two fingers are the chalk blocks for the wheels, right? So they're keeping it there and keeping your elbows high. Whereas when you do it, say, with a PVC pipe or a barbell or anything light of that nature, your immediate feedback is if that bar starts to roll out of there, it's not in that groove, like on the collarbone pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I had a video in there. I don't know if you got a chance to look. I just was questioning the bar placement where I had it.
See it. Oh, I found it. Get your fingers a hair wider, like your finger placement. Go a little bit more outside.
Okay.
And sit a little
And
bit
I feel like
back.
the elbows is the toughest thing, trying to get those up higher. That seems
Yeah,
to be where I have
constantly
the,
drive them up the whole time.
yeah.
And
I
sit a
felt,
little bit more with your heels and deeper.
how much should your front squat be versus like your regular squat? I
question a lot. It depends. That varies person to person. I know my front squat is probably 150 to 200 pounds under my back squat.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that's kind of, I get up to about, the most I've gone up to so far is about 140, 145. And, my regular squat PR is around 300, 315. But I feel like, the being at 140, I start to feel my wrists, my forearms giving out before I even feel any workout in the legs at all, So that's why I was questioning if I should be up higher than that or.
New to that rack position?
What's that?
Are you new to that rack position?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. It's just going to take some embrace the suck time and getting used to it. That is a big aspect of front squatting there is, were you present for the mobility exercises when I went over them?
You mean in the very beginning of this meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
I was.
That should help as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
When I'm mobile, I even wear my wrist wraps to provide some compression, not necessarily restrict the movement. Like if I'm wearing them on a press, they're like, my wrist wraps are like literally here on a press when I want support. When I front squat, I have them down more around my wrist for like compression. So I still get some movement, and that compression, much like a patellar knee band or something of the sort, it feels a little bit better.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, Dan, you're up, buddy.
Hey there.
Your form checks, Dan, in here, Dan W.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, perfect. We'll start with the deadlifts on the 4th set.
Yeah, I started recording on the 2nd set, so it's 2 through 4. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Yeah. Aha. Okay. I don't even need to see it from the side to know there's one thing that's talking to me so far.
Shoot.
So at the beginning of the pull, do you see how your hips rise and then your leg drive kicks in?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to start at the position your leg drive kicks in. Because what's happening is your hips are rising and then your leg drive's kicking in. Hank, you want to go? Hold on. My dog is. You want to go potty? Go ahead. Go out. Come on, let's go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So what it's doing is those hips rise and then you drive. So you get into position, right? So if this is your upper body, this is your leg drive. As your hips rise, you've now changed your pull angle. And now you've got to start from there. So your hips are rising, then your leg drive's kicking in. Versus if we start here, you open in one fluid motion and you're in a much more optimal position. Because what's the reason your hips are rising is because your body is putting you in a position where your legs can do their job on the deadlift. So if we're watching this, boop, there's your leg drive. You've gotten to almost a point where you're stiff leg deadlifting it. I would love to see these from the side. But your first rep is your worst rep. And that is so common on a deadlift because at every rep after that, you've had gravity. Yes, you've had gravity bring you back down, so you have some level of tension. And gravity always brings you down in a straight line. That bar's way out in front of you. Yep. See how it swung back towards you? So if the bar is swinging bit towards you as it breaks, it means the weight's out front. So, yes. So, no, go ahead. Pause that for me. Thank you. So we want to, we need to give you a little bit of a rebuild, right? Because there's some foundational cues we need to get right with your deadlift. So it's honestly going to take, you kind of do the same things that Catch did, that I spent, Noah, how long have I known you and Catch?
I don't know what year is it anymore.
Several years that I've been hitting him over the head, and he finally listened. So basically, look at your lower back position right here. Your brace is gone at this point. So that is because when you're starting, the bar is out in front of you. So you're allowing the weight to out leverage you versus you out leverage it. This is a game of leverages. That's all it is. Don't let anyone tell you different. So initially, your first cue would be rolling that bar in against your shin. So what you are getting right here is your shoulder is directly over the center of that bar. That's good. We just want to create that line with the bar closer to you. So what that would mean was you'd roll it in, you push your ass back a little bit. Now your hamstrings are loaded. So now what that will create is a much better environment for you to push the ground away the same time your hips try to come through. So this is a much out of the hole is leg dominant. The finishing is glute dominant. Your lower back, you're from the hips up. It's just to hold the bar. And we need that rigid. So that belt, how familiar are you with breathing and bracing?
I watched your video on it, but I'm pretty new to all this, so.
Good. Nothing wrong with that. This is good. We're getting to you early. So I want you to take 30% off of that bar for your reps, right? And I want you to start implementing a warm-up to cue your brace before your deadlift session. I want you to lay on your back. I want you to breathe to try and push your lower back into the floor. And I want you to have a 10-pound plate on your belly. So I want your belly to do this.
Okay.
And I want you to squeeze for a 3 count. Breathe, breathe, brace. And I want you to do a set of 5. Get up, put the belt on. And I want you to imagine feeling that belt all the way around when you fill your stomach up with air. And I want you to hold it. So I would love to get my hands on you in person and really like dial this in, because this looks like a fun project to me. I love when someone's new and we're not working with bad habits. We're working with just simply not knowing any better. That's fun coaching to me. So I want you to lower the weight because I don't want you to hurt yourself, because right now your lower back is compromised. And we haven't learned to brace under that heavy load yet because you're new. If I were to see your back rounding like this and you've been, say, powerlifting for the last decade, I wouldn't be as worried because you probably have the erector strength to support that. But I don't want you to hurt yourself early on in the game. So let's drop the load by about 30%. And I want you to really focus on that leg drive out of the floor. And I don't want you to think about standing up. I want you to think about pushing the ground away. And I want you to bring your feet in a little bit closer. You've got long arms, it looks like, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So we want to utilize that. So bring your feet closer so it gets your chest higher.
Okay.
So my wingspan is like 6 foot, but I'm 5'9". Which in theory would mean I'm built for deadlifts. But I think people just look at me like I'm built in 10,000 BC. So we want to maximize your leverage. So we want to bring you a little bit narrower, to a nice, powerful shoulder width stance at the width of your hips. Because your ankle to knee line was slightly like this. So we want to make it like this. We want vertical power. So bar in close, chest proud, back tight, brace, push the ground away. Bar in close, chest proud, back tight, push the ground away. Brace the whole time. Breathe at the top. Brace again, come back down. Brace, come back up. That way you're getting brace practice, top and bottom.
Great. Awesome. I'll go for it. Thank you.
I want to see you. I want another submission from you in 2 weeks' time.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Chris B coming up. Maybe like the next third. Yeah. Everybody see this?
Yeah.
The Bowflex adjustables are great. Great home gym product.
Noah, when you pause it when he's at the bottom. Boom. So I want to take a look at how flat you are on the bench and look at how far past your line your shoulders are actually traveling. And we're almost here versus here. So what we're doing is we're going to try and get you to recruit a little bit more upper back in your bench. So a bench, just like any of the other compound lifts, is a full body exercise. We want a slight arch. Think about keeping your chest proud. Now, what I want you to do with these dumbbells is I want you to try and break, like if you walk up to a barbell, try and snap it. If it's, shoulder height, I want you to try and snap it. Right. So what that is doing is packing our lats and our scapula. I want you to envision putting your shoulder blades down into your back pockets before you start your descent. So you're going to roll your shoulders back and down. Now my shoulders are supported on my lats. So if I got room here, if I turn to the side when I'm supported and I'm pressing, you see how much less shoulder travel is there versus if I'm not, I'm now doing this. So you're protecting your shoulders, you're recruiting more upper back, which is going to mean your shoulders will be happier in the long run, and B, you're going to have a little more oomph out of the hole in the bottom. So you've got great mobility. Like, I'm jealous. So we want to bring you a little bit less in this position and a little bit more to here with dumbbells. Now, do you have, same question I asked someone before, do you have any, yeah, so you're way back here. Do you have any intention of powerlifting in the future?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I want you to come to more of like a somewhere in between here, like perfect bench, right? Versus a neutral grip, something in the middle that feels a little bit more natural for you, as if you were walking, right? So bring those elbows in a little bit. And I want you to get your feet more underneath of you, like they're screwed in. So you have a slight arch in your back. And you actually are creating glute and leg tension. But press in a plane that feels just a little bit more natural, comfortable. That's okay. We don't need, a powerlifting style bench press if you have no intention of powerlifting. I'd rather you have really, really good reps and happy shoulders.
Okay, that sounds good. My shoulders are fairly happy, actually. I'm not sure about my reps being really, really good.
It's going to take time. To make reps really, really good, you need to do a lot of reps. That's just, there's no way around it.
Fair enough.
Do you have any questions on any of that?
So let me just recap, just to make sure I got it right. You're basically saying I'm bringing the elbows in and the shoulders a bit down. Is that right?
Yeah. So you're bringing your shoulders back and down. So think about when you cue it, when you physically do it, sitting in your chair right now, I want you to think about putting your scapula into your back pocket.
All right.
You feel how you get that, like you feel that tension down through your back? You're bringing
Yes, yes, I
everything
do.
together, right? To support your chest and your shoulders.
Yes.
So from there, then you're gonna bring your elbows here more of like a 45 versus a 90. And then you're gonna press from your nipple line back up, driving towards your eyes. Nice, easy, and controlled. How long have you been doing this?
Started with the app I started with the app a year ago, but I first did the body weight workout, so half a year or so.
I love how you're not rushing your reps. I want to say I don't want to just kick you in the shin here a bunch. I do love that you're not in a hurry. You're not just trying to crank out reps. I can see you intentionally trying to be deliberate with these, and I want to strongly urge you to keep doing that.
Sure will. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the comments, not only the positive one at the end.
I mean, they're all positive.
Thank you for doing this.
You're new. You're allowed to have a bunch of speed bumps. This is how it goes. You should have seen how jacked up I was when I started. I was just an idiot. So the weight you're doing, the manner you're doing the reps was a lot higher IQ than what I was doing. I can promise you that.
Well, thanks. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
Do we have anyone else? Looks like we're kind of dwindling, and I think we've gone over most. So I'll give a couple seconds for people to raise their hand, but if not, I think we will probably end here if that's okay with everyone.
We have Lillian submitted videos.
Do
we go over his Iron Chihuahua?
Yeah, I think they left.
Let's hit his videos real quick since he took the time to submit.
Yeah. Check out these of course. It looks like Jeff raised his hand. Of course, dude. Why is this happening now? Sorry, guys. This is weird.
Mine. Play on mine.
There we go. You guys see?
Yep. I don't inherently have any issue with these. So, getting a little bit of a swinging motion. It's not I would say a true strict pull-up, but these are good. These are great looking pull-ups. I'd have no issue with that. He's got good low upper back engagement out of the hole. So, well done.
All right, here's deadlift.
Strong pull, big jerk, and I would like to see him push that belly button towards the floor a little bit more to allow his posterior chain to get into position. That dip and drive is fine, but he dips here, boop, hips shoot up, and then he jerks on the bar. So I would say if that's a neural thing for setup that you need to do, slow it down, pull in, get set, get that back set so you don't have a forward rolling motion. So that is where you're basically out leveraging yourself. You start in position, then get out of position. So a lot of potential there in that pull. I think if you tighten that setup and really get that lower back and upper back set so your hips fall in line and you push that belly button out and pull in tension and maximize where your leverage needs to start, because you're kind of just throwing it all off with that forward kick when you drive. So if you can eliminate that, I think it'll do a lot for your pull. Next.
Yep.
The Army in me wants to make fun of him for wearing Air Force shorts. Nerd.
It was so silly. Like, how did I not have to download these earlier and now I do? It says can't download file. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let's try one more time. Oh, well, that's a no-go. All right.
Sorry, you can't see the let's see, did we miss anyone?
This is weird. I can't even watch these anymore.
Okay, well then I guess we're kind of screwed.
That's okay. We got through a lot, and I think that everybody that was here got to see their stuff. Before we go, looks like we had 2 Q&A stuff. Oh, Dan's iPad. Dan, are you around?
That was just me. I wasn't a presenter before, so
Oh,
I got
okay,
it
sorry.
figured out.
That, I just saw those messages. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for Coach Nic for coming and helping us out as always. So we will see you guys for the next Gen Q&A, and then after that, we'll do another Uncle Nic Q&A the following week. So stay updated on that, or we'll keep you guys updated on that, and have a good weekend, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks so much, Nick. Thanks.
Right on, dude.
See you guys soon.